Well, let's start with a prayer. Let's pray that every time we're in Calgary on Crowfoot Trail and Blackfoot Trail, we just understand the respect for First Nations, and our land was on First Nation, our Holy Trinity Academy land was on First Nation land, and we drive by the Siksika Nation. That's just pray that everyone has a peaceful relationship with other, no matter what the race, no matter who we are. We know we're all brothers and sisters in Christ. Amen. Okay, let's go to page 32. And here are the answers. So we see number one, correct number one. And these questions are, is it a function? And we've got a yes, because all the x's are different in number 1a. And we got a no in C and D, because the x, there's more than one x. Okay, so every x, sorry, I'm just trying to do this at the same time. So for this one, for these no's, every x has to have exactly one y. Well, here you have an x that has two y's. 5 goes to 0 and to 6. And here you have an x that has two y's. Okay, it's the same x. One is 3 and one goes to 6. So that's not cool. And all the other ones are good. Let's look at number 2. Vertical line test. If you can only hit it once with a vertical line, it is a function. If you can hit it, sorry, that's not a vertical line, there we go. If you can hit it more than once, it's not a function. Here's number 6. Number 6, keep your x's in brackets. And again, this is just like a table of values where you have these are your x's. Domain means x, right? So -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. If I don't give you a table of values, that's the ones you choose, -2, -1, 2 negatives, 2 positives, and 0. And then when you sub that -2n, it's cubed, you get -8. So that's the point, -2, 8. And they do it here, here, for the other ones as well. And that's what a cube relationship looks like. If you graph x cubed on your calculator, it looks pretty cool. If if I ask you to do that, and I don't like at all what they do here, they got the scale as 1 here, and then they got scale of really 4 to 1 for the same distance. Don't do that. Just go 1 to 10 and -10 to 10. But I'll provide you with a graph. All right, here's 7. Did we have to do 7? Yes, we did. Same type of thing. And they give you a table of values, and there's the 0.35. So 3 to the right, 5 up, 2, 0, 2 to the right, stop, 1, -3, 1 to the right, 3 down. And then you got to know that when you see an x squared, it's a parabola. Okay, so look at the points. You've got to understand this is a parabola. And don't forget on the quest to label your graphs and to draw arrows at the end. Similarly, this is a weird one, so you can go ahead and star this one. It says, basically, this just says x equals 6. Sorry, y equals 6. It's f of x. Okay, so these are the, it says the domain is, so that's the x, 0, 10, and 20, and then your y is always 6. And if you were to have some sort of a multiple choice question, it'd say, what does this produce? You would say a horizontal line. So maybe just write down horizontal line. Anytime you have y, we already learned that, y equals 6 is a horizontal line. x equals 6 is a vertical line. At 6 to the right, this line would be 6 up for y equals 6. And lastly, is number 10. And this is not true because you can have an output or a y that has more than one x. Okay, you can have, this is a function because every x has exactly one y, but this output has two x's, and so that's not true, aka false. Lastly is number 11, which represents a function. Well, you could graph both of these and multiply the number by 3 and add. That means 3x plus 5. So I'll go ahead and write that above your question. That's what that means. And then, is this a function? No. This one has a 1, and this one has a 1. They have, that x has two y's, and then this is vertical line test. No. No. So we got 11B, 11 body. Okay, so now we're on the top of page 35. And we did A, B, and C. And this is called function notation. Oops, that's supposed to be green. Why is that not green? There it is. So when you have f of 3, that means x equals 3. So wherever you see x, you put 3. This is g of 1. So wherever you see x, you put 1. And this is f of negative 2. So wherever you see x, you put negative 2 in brackets. Okay, so let's do, this one says g of negative 2. So you write down, oops, I guess I can use black. F4 subtract x. Interesting. Dot, that doesn't work so good. So 4 subtract x. And then wherever you see an x, you put negative 2. So everything else is not an x stays exactly the same. So that subtraction sign has to come down, and then the x becomes negative 2. So you have a double sign. 4 subtract negative 2 equals 4 plus 2, which is 6. Okay, so now this is the f function, f of 0. So x squared plus 5 becomes 0 squared plus 5. And then you have a subtraction sign in the middle, so you subtract this whole thing, g of 0. And g of 0 is the g function. 4 subtract x, so 4 subtract 0. And that comes down to 5 subtract 4, which equals Calgary Flames. Best team in Alberta. Boo, Oilers, boo. I would let you do this if it's less confusing. Just do this separately, and you'll get 5 for f of 0 and 4 for g of 0, and then just subtract them. I don't usually like letting students do that, but that's fine for this one. So if you did that, I'd still mark it right. You're not going to have a question like that very often. It's mainly going to give you, I'm going to give you one function like this one, and I'm going to ask you to do 1 or 2 things like that. So just like the next example, let's look at example 2. Where we have one function, 5x cubed subtract 2x, where an x is an element of real numbers. Okay, so to find f of negative 3, I like to write down the formula every time. 5x cubed subtract 2x, and wherever I see an x, I put -3. Okay, so usually I like to underline the -3, because that's what my x is becoming. So -3 cubed, subtract, sorry, let's try that again. Oh my goodness. So for -3, 5 times -3 cubed, subtract 2 times -3. And you might feel a little sad here, but you shouldn't. You should feel happy, because your calculator does that no problem. So let's get our calculator out and go ahead and do it with me. I don't see, here it is. So you go 5 times, and then you got -3 in brackets, and then cubed exponent 3. And when you have this calculator, it says press right arrow to get rid of the exponent. So that's what I'm going to do here. Press the right arrow. Then subtract 2 times -3 again. Okay, so it looks a bit scary on paper. Doesn't matter. If you can do it without the calculator, that's great. But your calculator will do this right every time, as long as you put your numbers in brackets, and you get -129. You don't need to show me any work except for the answer equals -129. Okay, so I want to talk about what B, I want you to read B and figure out what it's asking, and read C and figure out what it's asking. And for B, it says find the value of f when x equals 2, blah, 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 blah. Mumbo jumbo just means find f of 2. Okay, that's all this means. Find f of 2. And now you're going to look at C, and you're going to know what it's asking for. And yes, that is correct. It is asking you to find f of 7. Okay, so sometimes I could ask you like that. Who cares? You know that this means f of 2, and find f of 7 for this right here. Okay, so I want you to do B, C, and E. If you're done E, you can try F. And we'll correct in 5 minutes. Please pause. Santa Claus. Okay, so B, you're trying to find f of 2 for this. So 5x cubed. I'm running out of room, so I'm going to just pretend I wrote this down. X cubed, so f of 2. So x cubed becomes 2 cubed. Subtract 2 times x, which is 2 times 2. And then just calculate that. I'm going with 36. Am I get 36? Yeah, okay, good. 40 subtract 4. Calculator does that all. F of 7 equals 5. Oh, no, maybe I'll do this one in my head. 7 cubed. Subtract 2 times 7. And I don't know the answer, but I should have 2 calculators nearby. So on my calculator, well, that one's dead. Mayday, mayday. All right, we'll use this one. 5 times 7 cubed. Arrow to the right to get rid of exponent. Subtract 2 times 7. 1701, 1701. only 43 off of my address in Saskatoon. 1742. 941 off. Okay, for this one, I haven't seen this one yet, so start, because you don't want to get this one wrong. Okay, wherever you see an x, you put an a. So 5x cubed just becomes 5a cubed. And subtract 2x, just becomes subtract 2a. That's it. Nothing. Don't stop it. Stop sign. There's a perfect stop sign. Don't add those, because you can only add a cubes, and a's to a's. You're done. Full marks. Take it to the bank. Now this one's a little more difficult, as you have f of 2x. We're doing this one together. So 5x cubed, subtract 2x. So wherever I see a x, I put 2x. Okay, so those x's turn into 2x. That's what this means, f of 2x. So everything else stays the same. The x turns into 2x, and I still keep the cubed. And I keep the subtract 2, just bring that down, and whenever I underline the x, that's what turns into 2x. Now we got to do some algebra. So this is 5, 2 cubed is 8. So 5 times 8, x cubed. And negative 2 times 2 is negative 4x. And then 5 times 8 is 40x cubed. Subtract 40x. Do I subtract those? No, I'm done. Okay, so let you write that down as I stall a little bit. Study star 3, because this combines our function unit with our algebra unit, aka multiplying polynomials, aka rewriting and foiling. Okay, so let's do that. We're not going to have enough room, but that's okay. Oops. Come on, Bluey. There you are. And move up a little bit. Okay, we got a trinomial function. And we got to find p of a binomial, x subtract 3. So that means wherever you see an x in the function, you put bracket x subtract 3. Okay, so it's like cutting and pasting. You're cutting out the x, and you're pasting x subtract 3. So everything else in black stays the same. This is everything that's not an x. And then wherever you see an x, you put x subtract 3. Okay, so all your x's turn into x subtract 3's. Okay, I underline the x's here. I'm going to underline the x subtract 3's here. Okay, everything else stays the same. Now it's up to you and doing your algebra skills. So we've got a first part of it. We got to distribute to the first bracket, and then FOIL, or FOIL first and then distribute. So that comes from this part right here. And then this green part is just exactly what you see. Subtract 6 times x subtract 3 plus 1. I like to FOIL these myself first. Or no, I don't. And I'm not going to, because most of us, I already asked you that most of you are doing the first bracket thing, but you're welcome to FOIL first. So 4x subtract 12, just FOIL, distribute into the first bracket, otherwise don't do it ever. And then I'm going to distribute this, and I can do this in the same step because it's not affecting anything on the first part. So negative 6 times x is negative 6x. And negative 6 times negative 3 is plus 18, plus 1. And now you FOIL. Sorry, it kind of looks a bit crazy here. That's where the brackets are. So now you FOIL. You get 4x squared, subtract 12x, subtract 12x. Negative 12 times negative 3 is plus 36. Subtract 6x. And 18 plus 1 is plus 19. And now it's all about collecting like terms. So is there any x squares? No. Is there any x's? Yeah, negative 12x, and negative 6x. And now can I add any numbers? 36 plus 19. So the final answer is 4x squared, negative 24, negative 30x, and plus 55. I'll give you a chance to write that down. That is a good question. Obviously, it's a hard question. But we talk about questions that combine 2 units. It's going to be a good one for not just the test, but the exam. Pause. Okay, just confirming that work with the answer key, and we got the exact same thing. 4x squared, subtract 30x, plus 55. So we got it prettier. And now I want you to do these 4 questions, number 2 and 5, on your own, and I will give you 6 minutes. Pause, please. First station, identification. 2222, that's so cool. Okay, let's see how you did. There's 2A, B, and C right there. Wherever you see an X, you replace it with 2 and A. In B, X turns into negative 3. And in C, C is similar to the table of values of where X equals 0. Okay, that's what you're trying to figure out for this equation of the line. Y equals, remember y means f of x, 5x subtract 7. So it's very similar to table of values, and not too much trick on this one. Let's go to number 5B. Good job, everybody. 5B, so don't look at A, it's this one that we did. And wherever you see X, again, I like to write down the equation first. I haven't been because I don't have enough room, but I do here. Subtract X, subtract 5. So when I find f of negative 3, I like to underline the negative 3 and then underline the x's. So wherever I see an x, it turns into negative 3. Everything else stays the same. So x cubed becomes negative 3 cubed. Subtract 2 times x squared. X squared becomes negative 3 squared. Subtract, and then this is the tricky one, you got to bring the subtraction down, and then your x is negative. So that's fine. You can have 2, you subtract a negative. You're going to have it half of the time. So you can't lose that subtraction sign right there. And then negative 5. And then, yeah, that's fine, but you don't need to do any of this. That's great, though, if you do it in your head. But your calculator does all that. So your calculator will be negative 3 in brackets. That's not right. Negative 3 in brackets, all cubed, so exponent 3. Right arrow to stop the exponent. Subtract 2, bracket, negative 3, and then x squared. subtract bracket -3, subtract 5. Your calculator does all of that. I wish you could see everything on the screen. That's how it looks. Well, you can see this is x cubed, subtract 2x squared, so wherever you see a -3, that used to be where your x used to be. Then you press enter, and it gives you the answer, -47. Okay, so you don't have to do that crossed out step. You can if you want to. If you want to challenge yourself and do it in your head, that's great. But if you do it in your head, double check with the calculator, because we all make silly mistakes. That's just part of math. So next, go ahead and... Okay, I changed my mind. Go ahead to page 36. And you have a homework question, first one. Go ahead and circle the answers and understand them. Don't just circle them, but understand that x is the independent variable and y, which is the same thing as f of x, is the dependent variable. I'll save you a bit of time, but I'm not going to follow through with this homework. I'm going to leave it there. You do not have homework except for study for the quest, and the quest is on pages 1 to 25. Okay, this is page 36. It's not an ideal breakup, but that's what we have when everyone's at home. At least a lot of us are at home. So page 1 to 25 is your quest. And right now, you're going to work on your quest review, which is, oh, I just had it too. There it is. You're going to get handed out this, or you're going to go to Google Class and it's attached. This is your quest review. Find the domain and range. These are questions that are on your quest. Number 2, find the XY intercepts. Okay, remember domain and range. Domain x, domain is the x, it goes left to right. Range is the y, it goes up and down. XY intercepts. Find the x-intercept by setting y equal to 0, and you find the y-intercept by setting x equal to 0. And this is function notation, kinda. Wherever you see a t, put 1, and then find out h, independent dependent variable. And then number 4, you have a table of values, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2 for x. It was just hard to do that on the computer. And graph it. And then I do have another question for you on your calculator. I want you to graph this, and it should look like just like yours. And find the XY intercepts on your calculator as well. And that's not on the quest. Any calculator graphing with the calculator will be on the test, not the quest. Okay, so what do you need for that? Maybe 25 minutes, I would say. Maybe 25 minutes-ish, and then 20-ish minutes to correct. Good luck to ya. We'll correct in a bit. Please pause. Thank you. We just watched America's Funniest Home Videos, and parents were showing their daughter numbers and gave her this one, and she said, pause. And then he goes, what is this? She says, pause. And they laugh, and Mom says, no, what number is it? She said, pause. It was cool. Okay, let's go to the quest review. You know what? I'm going to put this on the smartboard. Give me a second. Okay, that's better. Let's go domain and range questions. Good luck. Let's go domain. That's not red. I'm not sure why that turned green. I think we used red for domain before. Okay, so the domain are the x values. Domain equals 0, -1. I'm going to put this in order. There's two -1, so just have to write it one time. 0, 4, 7. And then the y's are 6, -3, 6. Don't need to write 6 again. So -3, the range is, and you don't put -3, -1, 6, and 11. You do not put x as an element of real numbers because that means it's everything in between. These numbers are just, these are the only y's that we have. That's it. There's nothing in between. There's no 6.5 or 6.333. So you do not put x as an element of real numbers. If you did that, you would lose half your marks. Okay, you just put the numbers for ordered pairs. When you have straight lines, like in B and C, that's when you put x and y as an element of all real numbers. Okay, the domain. Actually, I'm going to write down the domain on top of the graph and the range below the graph. Okay, so this is the domain. How far left and right it goes, you can see that domain equals x. It goes left to right. It's horizontal. So this graph goes forever left and forever right. That's what parabola does. They always go a little bit farther left and right. So it means all the numbers in the whole wide world. You got two arrows going different directions. So domain is all the values of x, such as x is an element of all real numbers. And that's how you write down all the numbers in the whole wide world in math. The range goes from -3 up. So we have to know how to write down the range from -3 up. So the range is all values of y such that y is either greater than, equal, or less than or equal to -3, or x or y is an element of all real numbers. And if it is up or to the right for domain, it's always greater than or equal. Good job. Going to C. All the values. This graph goes left to right. It looks like it's from -2 to 4. So the domain equals all the values of, not x, I almost put x, it's actually t. All the values of t. I don't think I'll go back, it might erase too much. There we go. Domain equals all the values of t such that t is between -2 and 4. So we've done enough of these that we should be getting good at it, where t is an element of all real numbers. So if you didn't get that, go ahead and do the range right now, because it's the same thing. Except for it's not values of t, it's all the values of p. And instead of using these numbers, you're going to use these numbers. Between -2 and 1 up. So I'll give you 30 seconds to do it exactly the same as the domain. You go from the lowest number to the highest number and less than or equal signs. So between -2 and 1, less than or equal to p, less than or equal to 1, or p is an element of all real numbers. This means all the numbers in the whole world between -2 and 1. That's how we say that in math. The next two, the pen's upside down, that's a new one. Domain equals all the values of x, such that x is an element of all real numbers. And the range, same thing, all the values of y such that y is an element of all real numbers. Why? Because it goes forever left and forever right. It also goes forever up and forever down. So straight lines that are not vertical or horizontal, these are always the answers for any straight line that is not straight up and down or straight sideways. And that's the answer for every other line. Okay, domain here is a little trickier. It goes forever to the right, but it does not go forever to the left. It goes from -10 up. How do I write that as a domain? All the values of y such that x, if it goes to the right, it's greater than or equal to -10, where x is an element of all real numbers. And blue, how far up and down does it go? Well, this goes up, 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 and will always go up. And this goes down, 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 will always go down a little bit. So if it goes forever, it's going to hit -infinity and positive infinity. So the range is all the values of y such that y is an element of all numbers in the whole wide world. Okay, find the x and y intercept. Again, that's not black. So your x-intercept is where y equals 0. So where we see a y, you put 0. I'm not going to have enough room to write down the equation again, so wherever I see y, I put 0, so 3x. Subtract 4 times 0 equals 12. 4 times 0 is just 0. You can cross it off if you want to. And you get 3x subtract 0, which is just 3x, equals 12. And 3 times x, you do the opposite operation, divide both sides by 3. You get x equals 4, and please write it as an ordered pair to get full marks. Okay, don't forget to do that. Similarly, the y-intercept is x equals 0. So in this case, I have a bit more room, so I will write down the equation. 3x subtract 4y equals 12. And wherever I see an x, I put 0. So 3 times 0, which is just cancel. Subtract 4y equals 12. And don't forget this subtraction sign doesn't disappear. This is -4y. So when I have -4 times y, I divide by the number in front of y, including the sign. I need the 4's to cancel and the negative signs to cancel. So y equals -3, and this y-intercept is 0, -3. X-intercept for this one, -x plus y equals 7. There's another way you can do this if it's better for you. If I'm doing the x-intercept, that means there is no y part. Okay, because y equals 0, so you can just, that disappears, and you have to solve -x equals 7, which I love. Star this one, you have to know how to do -x equals 7. That is not the answer, because solve means find the value of x, not find the value of -x. This means -1 times x, so you divide both sides by -1. You get x equals -7, not +7. The y-inter, we can do the same way. Wherever you find the y-intercept, you get rid of the x term, because x equals 0, so you can just get rid of that. And look at y equals 7, you're done. There's nothing to do here. It just tells you y equals 7, so there. Don't forget to write it as an ordered pair. Now, I don't want to do this with the room. And see, you know what, I'll leave that for 5 seconds, and then I'm going to clear the screen. So I'm going to have to use some of the more space. Okay, good. So let's, why is it doing that? This is supposed to be green. Da, da, da. Okay, we're going to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. For x squared plus y squared equals 81. So x-intercept means y equals 0. So wherever I see a y, I put 0. So x squared plus 0 squared equals 81. 0 squared is just 0. So this comes down to x squared equals 81. Then you have to know what to do from here. The opposite of x squared is square root. And don't lose half your marks. What is the square root of 81? 2 answers. So there's 2 x-intercepts, 9, 0, and negative 9, 0. If you give me 9 and not negative 9, you lose half your marks. That's just the way it is. All right, they want red so bad. Let's do the y-intercept in red. So y-intercept means x equals 0. And I'm going to do it the other way. So if I have a y-intercept, that means there's no x part. Oh, geez. That's funny. I just did the last question. My bad. Let's continue to use this equation, and I'll give you, if you didn't get this one, then you should definitely get the next one. So go ahead and find the y-intercept. Of that guy, please. I'll give you 30 seconds to write down both the answers. And you should be studying star. It was second or third time we've seen x squared, y squared. That gives you 2 x-intercepts and 2 y-intercepts. 2 x-intercepts, 2 y-intercepts. So I see that on the Quest Wednesday. Yeehaw. Okay, so y-intercept means there's no x part. So I have to solve y squared equals 81. Square root, square root. Square root of 81 is positive negative 9. And then don't write this in reverse. Don't write this as an x-intercept. It has to be the y-intercept. How do you know? Well, the first part is x, second part is y. So the y is 9. The y is negative 9. Here, the x is 9. The x is negative 9. Oh, at last. I'm loving it. Hey, good job. Let's go number 3. Number 3 just says find h of t. That's what 3 is saying, pardon me. So find h when t equals 1, that means find h of, h of 1. H of t means h of 1, so wherever I see t, I put 1. Put 1 there, I put 1 there, I put 1 there. So h of 1 equals 3t squared becomes 3 times 1 squared minus 2 times 1. Subtract 1. Sorry, I'm not sure why I underline this. Please don't underline that. And if I do this and go schmuck, nice. And then that's 3, subtract 2, subtract 1. Edmonton Oilers, why do you think they start with an O? There, but okay, never mind. So 0. What's the independent variable? Okay, remember variable means letter. So there's 2's and 3's and squares. Don't mean anything. And this one's a little different. So let's go with the independent variable is the t, or the x. And the y is the dependent variable. What is the y here? Well, remember, y is the same thing as f of x. So you can have h of t as the dependent variable. That means y. Let's star that one. That's a new one. For number 4, table of values, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, hut, hut, hut. We're going to sub into this equation. So 2x subtract 8, where x equals -2. Equals, you know what? I'm going to stick with purple until I substitute for x. So 2, in this case, x equals -2, so I put -2. And then I put subtract 8. Okay, and then I figure that out, and I get -12. That's okay. So -12 is that point, -2, -12. Not sure why I groaned, because we do have enough space on our graph. -1, do the same thing with -1. Where we see an x, put -1, and then equals -10. And then 0 is 2 times 0, subtract 8. So that's -8. 2 times 1, subtract 8 is -6. And 2 times 2, subtract 8 is -4. Okay, so -10, -8, -6, -4. Those are the points we need to plot, and I'll do my best. So, again, remember how important I said plotting points is? You need to know how to plot points perfectly. If you don't, get your butt into math help immediately, and we'll go over it for 10 minutes. You'll be fine. So there's 2 to the left, 12 down. There's 1 to the left, 10 down. There's 8 down. There's 6 down. And there's 4 down. 2 to the right, 4 down. Okay? So don't forget, and again, I'm trying my best with this guy. You know what? Let's go yellow. I'm going to draw a line through all my points. Arrows there. And then I'm going to label my point, my graph, 2x subtract 8. That's what they ask you to do. That's full marks. I labeled my line and I put arrows on the end. That's where students lose the most marks. Remember, you know this is a line. So if you get some lightning bolt, Harry Potter lightning bolt, it's wrong. You did the negatives wrong. Always check your negatives and put them in brackets. And you'll be fine. And you'll be getting your parabolas with x squares, and you'll be getting your lines when it has x's in them. Okay, check our graph. Fun. 2x subtract 8. I wish I could have this on the same screen. Y equals 2x subtract 8. Graph it. And if it's not on the right window, press zoom 6. Mine's on the right window. And that's what it should look like. Okay, let's look at that. And now let's look at ours in yellow. Go. Okay, well, it kind of looks the same. I just had to extend the line farther, and it will look the same. Geez, that was a nice line. I didn't even try. I'm so proud of myself. Find the x-y intercepts. Well, let's just see. Well, we know that our x-intercept, sorry, our y-intercept is right here, 0, -8. What is our guess with our x-intercept? Probably 4, 0. So let's see if we calculate what the calculator says. Okay, let's do the easy one first. The y-intercept is second calculate value x equals 0. Should be 0, 8. Oh, 0, -8. That's what I said. So 0, -8 is our y-intercept using the calculator. Now for the x-intercept, it's second calculate what for the x-intercept? 0. The x-intercept's known as zeros of the function, so you press enter, and then you got to go left of it. Now don't fool around with this y-intercept. I want the x-intercept where my right arrow is, or my white arrow, I should say. So I go to the left of it, and which in this case is below it. Press anywhere there, press enter, and then I got to go to the right of that x-intercept. Anywhere above it, above this point, press enter. When it says guess, I press enter again. It is 4, 0. Well, how about that? Awesome. Just a reminder, you do not have to know that for your quest, but you will need it for the test. All right. Yeah, if you don't have any other questions and you have some bit of time, let's study for the quest. And you study by doing the questions, so don't just look at stuff, do the questions. Quest is tomorrow. You'll have 15 minutes to ask me questions and study. Good luck. And J.O. out. If you have any questions, just see me on Google Meet, and be happy to help you. God bless. Have an awesome day. Ha ha ha.